Welcome back to All In Driving. Today I'm going to give you a few different racing sim setups to maximize your experience behind the wheel based on your budget. Forget paying someone else every time that you want to go racing. Just throw down some cash ahead of time and race as much as your obligations will allow. I'm going to break down a lot of different pieces and parts, and then at the end we will get to 5 different sim builds that you can do and get started racing as soon as you've got the money. If you want to skip ahead, I've set the chapter times, but I suggest watching the video the whole way through. It's going to give you a little more background information on why you may or may not want to stick with a category or kind of move in between them. This is the second video in my series of how to get started racing in 2026. If you want to see the easiest, quickest way to get onto the track, check out this video that all but guarantees you'll find something in your area. But if you're ready to sim, let's go all in. Now, the first 3 questions you want to ask yourself are, what is my budget? What is my end goal? And what do I have space for? Answers to these questions are probably going to give you a pretty good idea of what kind of setup you're going to want and how to build your race space. Let's tackle the middle question first. What is your end goal? My personal goal with sim racing is just to have fun, learn some tracks, and compete online. Because it's a very small portion of how I spend my free time, I don't expect to compete with top drivers on any game most of the time, but as with anything, practice makes better. Think about what you want to get out of sim racing. Why is this where you want to start versus some other options? If you're looking to race with others online, there are a lot of options, but if you want to hopefully someday lead to real life racing, a game with advanced physics and a setup that gives you a true feel for what a car is going to do under multiple conditions and situations, eventually you're going to need a full setup. Thankfully, even if that is your end goal, you don't have to start with the best gear. Pause the video if you need to. Once you've got your goals in mind, then we need to look at budget. With any game really, but especially simulation games where you'll buy special equipment, the more you spend, the more realistic your experience will be. Not necessarily more fun, not necessarily better. That depends again on your goals and expectations. Racing wheels specifically have groupings or tiers with more realistic feedback or wheel setups as you go up in price. Spending an extra 20 or 50 bucks for a specific brand might not do very much, but ponying up a couple $100s to upgrade from all plastic to metal components could make quite a difference. Let's break down the budgeting a little bit, as there are really 4 categories of things that you need to budget for. Number 1, the game or games. This is a non-negotiable, obviously, though there are a few standouts here. Most games you purchase once and that's it. A couple things to mention. First, everything that's in italics is more of a specialized game. You can see ones for F1 and rally, but also karting and motorcycles. And then any of the ones that are available on Steam that are not new do go on sale very often, including Assetto Corsa. I've only really played F1 and Gran Turismo, but from everything I've read, the top 3 options that are available right now are iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and Gran Turismo 7. I'm working on getting a PC built up so that I can play more games, and I found a sale on Assetto Corsa. For under 18 bucks, I got the game and all of these packs, which I think is a pretty good deal. Along with the game is the physical hardware to run the game, which breaks down into 2 categories, console and PC. There are advantages to each, but if you're budget focused, you'll want to use either whatever you have already or what you can get your hands on for fairly cheap. If you plan to use a PC, you're going to want to find one that has hardware that can handle sim racing games, which is different from other games and more than just your daily work. The simpler option is obviously a console. If you have or decide to buy the newest generation, it'll run the games available to it, no questions asked, no specs to worry about, no stressing whether to throw your budget toward a new CPU or a GPU, extra SSD space, RAM. You don't even have to know what those things mean. The newest Xbox X is running around $600 right now, and the Series S is about $400. PS5 Pro is currently $700, but you can get an OG PS5 for about $400 if you opt for the digital version. PCs can run anywhere from a couple $100 for something on Black Friday that will probably handle just the basics of some games to thousands of dollars for something that is nearly future-proof for as long as the parts will last for it. Positives for going for a PC are more realistic game physics, the ability to upgrade slowly, so you could start with a lower PC as long as you have the space inside the tower and it's ATX or something, so you use compatible specs for everything you buy as you upgrade. But as long as you do that, then you have a computer to start with, you can build on it. And the other thing about having a computer is not only do you have something to play your games on or to sim race on, but you have something that will do other things that a computer does. Since you might be choosing the game that you want to play based on the hardware you already have, or purchase hardware based on the game you want to play, these really go together. Once you've got those two figured out in conjunction, then it's on to number 3, the racing wheel. So now that we've got non-negotiables out of the way, the next piece of your setup that you can technically do without, but definitely should not do without, is a racing wheel and pedals. Even with a set of sticks that utilize motion, you won't get feedback from cornering, and you won't get the same sensitivity with a pedal feel as you do with actual pedals and a force feedback wheel. I may be wrong, but I kind of believe that a skilled but average-ish driver with a good setup would beat a pro driver just using controllers 9 times out of 10. Let's take a quick look at the main players in the racing wheel arena. There are others like Moza Racing, but the main 3 you're gonna see are Logitech, which does entry level to mid, Thrustmaster, which kind of runs the whole range, and then Fanatec, which is more dedicated wheels, maybe at the mid to high, and then goes up to the top of the range. Right now I'm using a Thrustmaster T246. I like it a lot. It's fairly mid-range, but it does most of the things I want it to do. I've got metal pedals with really good feedback, especially on the brake. Now everything that I use, I will link in the description. None of it's sponsored. It's all just stuff that I've bought and seems to work well. Let's get into number 4, and that's where space comes into play. So no matter if you live in a studio apartment, if you've got roommates, or you have a multi-million-dollar mansion, you should have the space to at least house the TV, your computer / console, and a racing wheel that you can just stash away when you need to. To finish out your home sim rig though, you're gonna want a dedicated cockpit. You might have to pack it away after each use, or maybe you've got a game room or a set area like I do. Space and budget come together here to determine how you finalize and round out your at-home racing experience. Let's start with the most budget of all, using a desk or table that you already have and just kind of clipping it in. This might not cost very much space or money, but it definitely lacks the comfort and convenience and also just the enjoyment of playing. I initially had a small table that could adjust up and down, and it worked, but the table moved a lot. I was in just a regular chair and the pedals would slide around on the floor. If you are in that situation, I would say at least try to find something that is stable that you can connect to and get a rug or something so your pedals don't slide. Make sure that you screw in your wheel tight, because mine would also, as I was driving, slip off a little bit and be uncomfortable. It doesn't need to be stationary, but stable definitely helps. That brings me to the step up, which I believe is the minimum if you are serious about racing, and that is a foldable model. So you can just pop it down pretty quick. You can pack it up, put it against the wall, put it in a closet. You connect to your system pretty quickly. If you are serious, you'll want to upgrade eventually, but this is a really good place to start. You can find one used on Marketplace or somewhere else for $100, $150 if you're kind of in a pinch, but I would definitely suggest at least going to this point. For more stationary models, you still have a lot of variation. This one I use is from GTR Racing. I will again put the link down below. It has adjustable pedals, adjustable seat, and the tabletop for it is adjustable. After driving with it for a while, I would give it probably a 6 out of 10. It is one of their entry models, so I know that they have stuff that is bigger and a little bit easier to use and adjust. The seat is comfortable, it's sturdy enough, it's held, so I can't complain. And then depending on what floor you've got, I have a rug now because I'm on laminate floor and I don't want to scratch it. If you've got hardwood, you definitely don't want to scratch it. If you've got carpet, you may actually want something that gives you more grip because it otherwise might slide around on the carpet if you drive like a maniac. If money is no object, then you can go even further with a rig with motion and integrated sound and everything that is similar to what professional teams use to develop cars and train their drivers. For me, that's a little bit of a pipe dream. You can rent those or have some kind of experience for a short period of time at sim racing lounges, car events, anywhere you go around the world will probably have a sim rig as well. Now, before we get into the tiers for sim racing budgets and where you might fall, I need to mention a few other minor things that you obviously need, but I'm not gonna factor them into the cost because either you'll need them no matter what, you might already have them, or they're just kind of factored into things. So the first is a screen. The TV you've got at home already probably is fine as long as it's got an HDMI connection. You also need Steam or another account if you're on PC. If you're on console, you'll need either Xbox Live or PS Plus account to play those games online with those respective consoles. You probably want headphones so you don't bug the people you live with or your neighbors. Extra storage if you like saving replays of races. But now, with all that stuff discarded, let's look at the final 5 options for building your racing sim. Let's start off with the cheapest options possible. Basically, you're balling on a budget here and using everything you have, find a used wheel online, and you're looking at a budget of about $245. That's about as low as it gets. Next, we'll step things up to an actual budget build. You're looking at buying a new PlayStation, but the cheapest option possible, a new wheel, a foldable cockpit, and a racing game. Gran Turismo is going to be your best option for PS5, which brings that budget to $850. After that, you're in a mid-range budget. This is about where I'm at with a higher-end PlayStation or Xbox or an entry PC, the Thrustmaster T248. This R is the upgraded edition, and then the cockpit that I have, and a couple games just so you can kind of practice. And that budget is sitting at just over $1,600. As we go up, we're gonna jump into PCs. The HP Omen 35L is a good PC for being able to handle everything that you want it to do, but it's not crazy. It's not future-proof. A racing bundle for your wheel and pedals with a dedicated wheel hub, so you can actually change wheels, add wheels later on. The cockpit is definitely more of a sturdy seat, and then a couple games so you can figure out which one you like better for a budget of just over $3,800. Now we're gonna go extreme. This gives you a very high end, but still reasonably priced, I think, PC for someone who wants to use their computer for a lot of different things. Then you've got individual expensive wheelbase, wheel, pedal parts that are in this option based specifically for Formula One. And then you've got that play seat that is a Formula One edition, but that budget is just over $7,000. Here you can get a quick comparison of everything that we've looked at so far. I'll put some product links in the description, but for things like Fanatec that have a ton, I'm just gonna put Fanatec's website so you can just explore. Now you don't have to stick within one of these budget options. You can take pieces of each one, move it around. As we get towards a higher end, there are a lot more different options too, so I encourage you to explore. And with that, I did some exploring. I thought $7,000, that's a lot, but I think it can get crazier. So I kept looking and I found an FU money category. There are actually 2 more levels from here. First, I found this Podium one, P1 Spider 6 DOF. DOF stands for Degrees of Freedom. That means you've got pitch, roll, heave, surge. You got 6 axes of movement. It's just ridiculous. But this is a turnkey option. You're looking at just under a cool $100K for this. Podium 1 has some options for turnkey sim setup starting from about $8,000 up to $125,000. So if you wanted to find something within reason, you could go on the website and find something for about 8 to 10 grand, which is still expensive, but you know, within the extreme range of what we're talking about normally. We can make another complete step up. The most expensive PC that I found for gaming is a Next Computing Edge DL, 55K just for the computer. Wheels and pedals, you're actually doing all right compared to some other aspects of this. The same wheelbase with a Porsche 911 FT3 cup wheel for 6K. The Simucube Active Pedal Pro bundle from Simify for another 6K. And then the big daddy of them all, Dynisma DMG1 for motorsport. I researched a little bit. It looks like it's probably about 2.5 to 3 million. Since we spent a cool $3 million already, let's just buy all the games that we can, and our budget does not matter. Depending on what you want to do and what you've already got, you could spend under $100 or several $1,000s to race online with some people who will punt you the first chance they get. But turn off as many in-game assists as you can, keep practicing, and pretty soon you'll be watching boneheads punt somebody else in your rear view. Keep racing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.